You son of a bitch! What's up, guys? Welcome to our Alien Romulus review. It was amazing.
It was. There's a lot to talk about here, especially with Keegan being more of an Alien fan.
Oh, yeah.
And me being less of an Alien fan, but more of a fan of film in general, and Fede Alvarez as a director, so it'll be interesting to kind of compare notes.
I am a massive Alien fan. The first Alien is my favorite horror movie of all time, and Aliens is one of my favorite action movies of all time. Is Alien your favorite of the original movies, or do you like Aliens more?
I think Aliens is a better movie, but then I think Alien succeeds at being a better horror movie.
Yes, definitely, for sure.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of depending on like what you like and your preference. If you like sci-fi, obviously you're gonna like James Cameron's version better than Ridley Scott's original version. But
yeah, especially with the sci-fi action in Aliens versus a lot more sci-fi like story elements in Alien, because one of the things that is really fascinating about Alien is the perfect organism part of it.
Going to Prometheus and then Covenant, I think Prometheus is kind of like the Aliens of that like Ridley Scott tried to make.
Yeah.
It's more of like that sci-fi big adventure, epic.
More adventure, more action, you know, like, I mean, and I think there's a lot of really good aspects of Prometheus, but I'm personally not a fan of it just because it was trying to be an Alien prequel, but its own thing at the same time, and it failed kind of at both.
And also, Covenant kind of fails at being a horror movie. Like, Ridley Scott tries to go back to his roots and replicate what he did with the first movie, but, you know, it didn't really work as well.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's not that scary. Like, I was never scared in Alien Romulus. I'm not Romulus, sorry, Alien Covenant.
Romulus we were, but...
Well, Romulus, I was freaking out. I remember when I went to see that in the theaters, and the only scene I was kind of scared in, and there's more because it was gross, was when the thing bursted out of the person's back. You know, the neomorph, I think it's called. Yeah, neomorph. The white xenomorph. Yeah, when it bursted out of the back of that dude, it was really gross, and it was kind of like really good body horror.
You're like, what the fuck?
Yes.
I wasn't really expecting it to be kind of a jump scare movie, but there's some surprising moments that I was like, oh shit, like that.
Oh yeah, and I think that definitely comes down to Fede Alvarez's directing for sure. I think he really nailed a lot of the horror aspects, and that's something that we're going to start diving into now.
I'm a big fan of him as a horror director. I think with Evil Dead 2013, he just has a really good skill with where to place the camera. I'm not sure if the cinematographer for this movie and for Evil Dead were the same. I'm sure they're probably not. But Evil Dead, Don't Breathe, they all have the same kind of atmosphere.
Yes.
That Alien Romulus has. And I love that it didn't feel like, you know, Ridley Scott's Alien. You know, it felt like Fede Alvarez's Alien, so...
It had aspects of Ridley Scott's Alien in the sense of the set designs. The set design was very much Alien, because one of the great things about that original Alien movie is all the sets were designed to look similar to the xenomorph. So so anytime like there were scenes where, especially when towards the final act, where Ripley is walking through the hallways and all that smoke and those sirens are going off, and like you're looking around like, where's the alien? Where is it? You're your eyes are darting at every corner because everything looks like the alien. You know, it looks like the xenomorph. And so I love that aspect of Romulus, is that everything, the set designs were very similar to the original.
What Fede Alvarez does really well too is just, you know, he knows how to make a very contained environment. You know, we were talking before we started recording, it was the fact that this movie only has really a few characters.
There's almost every character has a different aspect to them that I found interesting. There's only really two characters that stood out to me.
I was about to say, I was like, there's only really two characters that we really kind of remember. The other ones were just kind of, you know, there to be killed.
Yeah, kind of there to be cannon fodder. One of my favorite aspects of the movie, and it was the two main characters, because there are like 6 characters in movies, like we said, but there's really 2 main characters that we follow, and that is Andy and Rain. Alright, Rain is the final girl, played by Kaylee Spaney. She is spectacular in the movie, but who really stood out was David Johnson as Andy. He was my favorite aspect of the movie, honestly.
Yeah, he was my favorite too, and it was weird because, you know, he's not the main character. You know, and it's funny, like, they didn't try to make Rain Ripley. You know,
Yes.
and I think that was perfect. Like, I don't think they should touch Ripley. I think they should leave that alone. But Andy definitely felt like more main character energy than
Oh yeah.
than Rain did.
Andy stood out as like something really unique we've never seen before. And we're going to go into slight spoiler territory, but if you have seen any trailer, you probably can figure out who Andy is. Andy is an android in the movie, but he's like a malfunctioning android. He comes off as really weird or really awkward, but he's really fascinating because you know that he's a malfunctioning android. And so you see those different aspects and you see that those tics that kind of come.
His performance, I think, is very underrated. It's probably going to be very overlooked, but the fact that, like Keegan was saying, like the tics that he has are super interesting to watch. It makes him a layered character. Different part of the movie where he kind of switches personalities, I guess you could say.
Yeah, so
and
in
accents.
So in the movie he needs to help them out for to get access to a terminal, and so they plugged him into the main system so that he could have clearance, and that actually rewrote his system and changes his priority, and so now his priority is more for the company. And so that was something that was really interesting to see as well, because you saw a conflict actually within him. And it's really interesting because he's an android, and so you see that conflict there, but you could tell that he is still on mission.
And you could see the conflict between the other characters and him too, especially that one guy. I have no idea what his name is, but he's the guy that like absolutely just hates androids.
Yeah.
Because of something that happened in the past. But
yeah, and he was an asshole. And my God, did he have a horrifying death. Probably one of the more horrifying deaths in the Alien franchise. I don't think anybody's ever died like that.
And it just goes to show like the amount of effort and the time that they put into the practical effects.
Oh yeah, because it looked great too. Like the whole movie looks incredible.
I mean, with the deaths, with the specifically the facehuggers, we were very impressed with.
Yes, the facehuggers. So one of the things that was really cool is Fede Alvarez. He's very active on Twitter, and he posts a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff.
I actually started looking at like the behind-the-scenes stuff too.
Oh yeah,
it was
yeah.
sick. It was
But
cool.
like all those little if you watch the movie, all those little facehuggers are like little RC cars, and like they're driving around like on the floor, and like their little tentacles move as well. Like it's really scary and really freaky looking actually. Like on the video he made, because it's like that looks like a real fucking facehugger walking around. Like
yeah, and there's a specific scene in the movie where that I'm sure that those practical effects were used for a very suspenseful scene with a bunch of facehuggers.
We're going to dive into more of that spoiler territory now, because we want to talk about some aspects of this movie that we couldn't talk about in our non-spoiler part. I wanted to start off with the hallway facehugger scene.
Arguably, like, one of the best scenes in the entire movie. I remember as soon as they walk in, I'm like, oh fuck, they gotta go through all this.
Like practical, like puppets right there, and like you could tell that they're real, tangible things, and that made it so much more scary because you can tell when something's CGI. You can tell when something is really not there.
And it takes audiences out of it.
Oh yeah, definitely. But that scene, like you could see them like just standing there and like they're moving around, they're making these little like noise or something.
As an aspiring filmmaker, we both love movies, so and love the aspects of the behind-the-scenes stuff in film. So getting to see more filmmakers utilize stuff like that and trying to use CGI as less as possible. So.
Yes, because CGI is great. It is one of the best innovations that's ever happened in cinema. It's when it's overused and not used properly is where it becomes detrimental to the film.
But the facehugger scene was a standout for sure, but we also liked the gravity.
Oh yes.
Scene.
So this great scene where so they are trapped in this corner, and so they have to shoot all these xenomorphs. And so what they do to make sure the acid blood does not destroy the ship, they turn off the gravity, and then Rain just starts unloading on these xenomorphs.
That third act really ramps up for sure, and the tension is high, but it kind of goes into the offspring when we see that.
Going into the third act, though, so they finally escape Romulus. They get back on their ship, you know. Everything seems all fine and dandy, you know. But of course, the pregnant lady happens to have taken the black goo, which, by the way, that was one thing that was really cool, that they brought back the black goo from Prometheus in Alien Covenant. That was something I never thought we would see that again, so the fact that they brought that back was really cool. But yeah, so she was pregnant, she got hurt, and so she took the black goo to heal herself. And so everything.
And she become super pregnant.
Yeah.
And then explodes.
Yeah. You literally see this egg come out of her, like a little birth scene where like his egg comes out of her, and you can see a fucking fetus in it,
like hatches,
and you can see human face in there, and it's like, what the fuck? And then it has like acid blood on it, and so it falls to the floor, and then Kaylee Spaney goes in, like Rain goes down there to find it, and then you see the footprints on like the sand or wherever that was. I don't know what it was, but you see the footprints, and they all of a sudden grew, and you're like, and then you come back to the pregnant lady, you know, with Andy, you know, taking care of her, and all of a sudden they turn around, and then there's the fucking offspring.
I think it kind of scares me more than an actual xenomorph do.
Yeah.
With the face. Actually, face huggers do scare the shit out of me, just because of how like nimble and like quick they are. But like, this thing, like, the offspring looked so much scarier than a xenomorph.
Oh yeah, it was like this 10-foot tall, pale white, human xenomorph looking thing, you know?
Yeah.
And like
black
eyes. It had a face of an engineer, but like the body of a lengthened body of a xenomorph, and it was so creepy. Like, cause it had like human face, so you could like see emotions on it. Like there was a point where it was smiling at them. Oh god, that was so freaky.
When it's like a hybrid between a human and you get those subtle nuances on the face, it's something about it that just like unsettles me a little bit.
Oh yeah,
more.
It was very unsettling.
So many moments in that third act where I was like, oh, that the movie could end here. Like, she won. And then it's like kept going. And
it was very much like the original, you know, because when in the original Alien, Ripley gets off the ship, you know, they blow up the ship, and then she's safe, you know, she got away from the alien. But then the xenomorph's actually in the fucking escape pod. It's like, oh, now she's got to even deal with this thing more. Right. That was something that was very similar in Alien Romulus, and there was a really good callback when she got into the suit, you know, like the space suit, and then opened up the airlock and blew the thing out of the airlock again. Like, but there was that amazing jump scare in that scene where she opens up the airlock and she's on this rope and she's getting pulled up into the station, and like you in her perspective in like the helmet, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, her like the offspring's face just goes.
We talked about M. Night Shyamalan's Trapped and how the ending for that, it kind of feels like it drags on. It could they could have ended there. And kind of like you're like, oh, like maybe it could have been a little shorter, but this didn't feel like that. It felt like it all naturally flowed. I would highly recommend this movie. It's crazy. We've been having a lot of bangers coming out lately with Trap and a lot of surprises. I mean, I figured this movie was going to be good just with the directing at the helm. You know, the crew that it had behind it. Ridley Scott producing. I had full faith.
Yeah, I was surprised at how much I liked it, because I didn't love Covenant and I didn't love Prometheus, you know, and like there hasn't really been a great Alien movie since Aliens.
It's almost like a Rogue Nation. Rogue One.
Yes, it's a little bit like a Rogue One. It's a little bit like that. It's because it spans off the original very directly, but it's its own thing. I give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, honestly.
4.5. Okay, I'm gonna have to go 3.5. I'm not as big of a fan as Keegan is for the Alien franchise, so but the horror aspects really bump it up for me. I rate it above Covenant. I rate it above Prometheus for sure too.
And go see it in the theaters, man. Support your local theater.
Like, subscribe down below, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Later.